Have you ever found yourself confused by a case that seems to have more questions than answers? The Kelsey Berreth case is one of those mysteries that leaves everyone scratching their heads. How did a loving mother suddenly vanish, and what twisted events led to her tragic end? Welcome to today's look into the Kelsey Berreth case, a tragic story that deeply impacted a community. In this video, we'll walk you through Kelsey's life, from her passion for flying to her sudden and heartbreaking disappearance. We'll examine how the investigation unfolded, including the shocking involvement of Crystal Lee Kenny, whose testimony revealed dark secrets. Stay with us until the end as we piece together this complex case and reflect on its profound impact on her family and the community. Kelsey Berreth was a 29-year-old mother of one living in Woodland Park, Colorado. She was a loving mother and a caring friend. But on November 22, 2018, her life would take a dramatic turn. Surveillance footage captured Kelsey at a local supermarket, shopping with her one-year-old daughter, Kaylee. She was buying ingredients for a sweet potato casserole, a simple, mundane task on what was supposed to be a joyous holiday. Kelsey Berreth had always been fascinated by flight. Growing up in Moses Lake, Washington, she dreamed of taking to the skies. By high school, she spent her days watching crop dusters from her family farm, her mind soaring as she envisioned herself as a pilot. Her determination led her to enroll in a flight program at a local community college. Not only did she become a pilot, but she also pursued a career as a flight instructor, sharing her passion with others. In 2015, another aspect of Kelsey's life seemed to fall into place. Through an online dating site, she met Patrick Frazee, a Colorado rancher and farrier. Although he lived over 1,100 miles away in Florissant, Colorado, their romance quickly blossomed. Kelsey moved to Colorado, took a job at the Falcon Air Force Base and in Grand Junction, and in October 2017, the couple welcomed their daughter, Kaylee. Kelsey and Patrick appeared to be building a life together. Though Kelsey lived in a condo in Woodland Park, and Patrick lived on his family ranch about 20 minutes away, they worked together to care for their young daughter. They got engaged, made plans for the future, and from the outside, everything seemed to be going well. But beneath the surface, their relationship was unraveling. On November 22, 2018, Kelsey was last seen on surveillance footage at the local Safeway grocery store. She was with her daughter, smiling and seemingly unaware of the horrors that awaited her. Later that day, she met with Patrick, who picked up their daughter, Kaylee. According to Patrick, this was the last time he saw Kelsey. He claimed that after Thanksgiving, Kelsey broke up with him over the phone, and they continued to discuss the details of their separation via text. But as days turned into weeks, Kelsey's family grew increasingly worried. She wasn't answering their calls or texts, which was highly unusual for the attentive and caring mother. On December 2, 2018, 10 days after Kelsey was last seen, her mother, Cheryl Berreth, reported her missing.
I'd just like to talk to you a little bit about Kelsey. She's not the kind that runs off. This is completely out of character. Kelsey loves her God, she loves her family and friends, and she loves her job. She's reliable, considerate, and honest. Like I said, she doesn't run off, and someone knows where she's at. Kelsey, we just want you home. Call us if you can, and we won't quit looking.
The disappearance of Kelsey Berreth sparked a massive search effort, with volunteers and law enforcement scouring the area, looking for any sign of her. But as the investigation continued, the police were faced with more questions than answers. Where was Kelsey? What happened to her? And who was behind her disappearance? The investigation into Kelsey Berreth's disappearance was a complex one. Initially, authorities had to consider whether the young mom had simply gotten overwhelmed and walked away from her life. But when Berreth's brother discovered a blood smear on the toilet in her condo, it became all too obvious that she had likely met a much darker fate. Crime scene analysts used a blood visualizing agent in the bathroom and discovered someone had cleaned up the room, which had been covered in blood. Woodland Park Police Department was the lead agency, but they were assisted by the FBI, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, and other local agencies. The police collected evidence from Kelsey's apartment, her vehicle, and the Safeway store. They also interviewed Kelsey's friends, family, and acquaintances, trying to piece together her final days. Authorities found nothing immediately suspicious. However, there was one disturbing clue: her cell phone. 4 days after she was last seen, Kelsey's phone pinged off a cell tower in Gooding, Idaho, over 800 miles away from her home in Colorado. This raised immediate concerns. Why would Kelsey's phone be so far away, and who was using it?
Kelsey's been missing and been reported missing by her mother, Cheryl, since Sunday, December 2nd at about 12:37 p.m. Officers were able to contact her place of employment at Doss Aviation down in Pueblo, Colorado, and were advised that they had received a text from Kelsey's phone on the 25th of November stating that she would not be into work the following week. Cheryl did reach out to Kelsey's fiance, Patrick Frazee, and he called her back saying that he hadn't heard from her since November 25th when Kelsey texted him. Reports are correct that Kelsey's phone gave a location near Gooding, Idaho on November 25th at about 5:13 in the afternoon. We've executed search warrants on Kelsey's home as well as both of her vehicles. We are treating Kelsey's disappearance as a missing persons case at this time.
As investigators dug deeper, they discovered that the text messages Kelsey allegedly sent after Thanksgiving were fabricated. The messages to Patrick and her employer were not sent by Kelsey but were part of a cover-up to mislead her family and authorities. Suspicion began to mount against Patrick Frazee, especially as details about his relationship with Kelsey started to emerge. As the investigation unfolded, the police focused on Patrick Frazee. He was the last person to see Kelsey alive, and his alibi for the time she went missing was questionable, but the police didn't have enough evidence to arrest him yet. They continued to gather more evidence, following up on leads and tips from the public. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation began to scrutinize Patrick's phone records and discovered he had been in frequent contact with a woman named Crystal Lee Kenny, a former rodeo queen and senior nurse who lived in Idaho, not far from where Kelsey's phone last pinged. Crystal Kenny was no stranger to Patrick. They had been in an on-again, off-again relationship since 2006. When investigators first reached out to Crystal, she denied knowing Kelsey and downplayed her relationship with Patrick. But under mounting pressure, and with the evidence against her growing, Crystal finally broke. 3 weeks after Kelsey's disappearance, Crystal came forward with a shocking confession. Crystal admitted that Patrick had tried to enlist her to kill Kelsey on 3 separate occasions. He convinced her that Kelsey was an abusive mother and that their daughter Kaylee was in danger. Crystal, who was deeply infatuated with Patrick, agreed to help him. But each time, she either failed to follow through or got cold feet. In September 2018, Patrick instructed Crystal to poison Kelsey's coffee with prescription drugs. Crystal knocked on Kelsey's door, pretending to be a friendly neighbor, and offered her the drink. Kelsey accepted it, but to Patrick's frustration, she never drank it. Undeterred, Patrick devised a second plan. He told Crystal to attack Kelsey with a metal pipe, hitting her in the back of the head. Crystal drove to Kelsey's townhouse but was spooked by a barking dog and fled the scene without carrying out the attack. The third attempt was even more chilling. Patrick handed Crystal a baseball bat and instructed her to bludgeon Kelsey to death. But as she sat outside Kelsey's home, she saw a police car drive by and once again aborted the mission. Each failed attempt only deepened Patrick's resolve. On Thanksgiving Day, 2018, Patrick decided to take matters into his own hands. He lured Kelsey into a deadly trap, convincing her to play a game where she would try to guess the scent of different candles. After tying a sweater around her eyes as a makeshift blindfold, Patrick brutally beat Kelsey with a baseball bat in her own home. All the while, their young daughter was just steps away. The crime scene was horrific. According to Crystal's testimony, when she entered Kelsey's home afterward, she found a pool of blood on the floor in the living room. There was blood on the walls, the couch, the TV, even in the kitchen.
When I first walked in, I saw blood all over the floor. I saw blood up the wall. Saw blood on this wall. There was blood on the TV. There was blood on the chairs. There was blood on this chair. There was blood on the table. There was blood on the Hobby Lobby bag that was sitting there.
With Crystal's confession, the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation, armed with this new information, conducted a thorough search of Patrick's property. As the investigation continued, Patrick Frazie's behavior became more and more suspicious. He was arrested on December 21, 2018, and charged with first-degree murder and solicitation to commit first-degree murder. But the police still didn't have Kelsey's body, and the question remained: where was she? On February 26, 2019, the police found Kelsey's remains on Patrick Frazie's property. After Kelsey was dead, Patrick took her body to his ranch, where he disposed of her remains in the most gruesome way imaginable. Crystal testified that Patrick burned Kelsey's body in a makeshift bonfire on his property. The fire consumed her remains, leaving almost nothing behind. The discovery was a devastating blow to Kelsey's family and friends, who had held out hope that she would be found alive. But the police were determined to get justice for Kelsey, and they continued to build their case against Patrick Frazie. The trial of Patrick Frazie began in late October 2019, with Crystal Kenny as the state star's witness. The prosecution presented a wealth of evidence, including testimony from key witnesses and experts. Prosecutor Jennifer Veman said, "This is the case of a cold, calculated manipulator. This man," she said, pointing at Frazie in the courtroom, "is a killer." Frazie was poisoning almost everybody he knew against Berreth, Veman said. He was telling people, including Kenny, that Berreth was a bad mom, an alcoholic, and abusive to the baby. He told people Berreth abandoned the baby and left the child with him, Veman said. The defense compared the case to a seemingly solid house with hidden foundation issues. Ashley Fridovich Porter, one of Frazie's attorneys, argued that while the case may appear strong, the evidence reveals significant flaws. She pointed out that the prosecution's case hinges on Kenny's testimony, despite her initial lies to law enforcement. Kenny only disclosed the alleged details after securing a plea deal that could keep her out of jail. Porter also questioned why surveillance footage showed Frazie leaving the scene unstained if Kenny's account of a bloody crime scene were true. As the trial progressed, the evidence against Patrick was overwhelming. Crime scene experts testified about the blood spatter found in Kelsey's home. Forensic analysts traced Patrick's movements through cell phone records, and witness testimonies painted him as a calculating and cold-blooded killer. The jury deliberated for just a few hours before returning with a verdict: guilty on all charges. On November 18, 2019, nearly a year after Kelsey's brutal murder, Patrick Frazie was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 156 years for the other charges. The judge described his crime as vicious, senseless, and without reason. Crystal Lee Kenny, who had struck a plea deal in exchange for her testimony, was sentenced to 3 years in prison for tampering with evidence. Her light sentence sparked outrage, with many arguing that she should have faced harsher consequences for her role in the crime. Despite her cooperation, the public's view of Crystal was largely unforgiving. She was seen not just as a victim of Patrick's manipulation, but as a willing participant in Kelsey's murder. In the wake of the trial, Kelsey Berreth's family has been left to grapple with the devastating loss of their daughter and sister. Kelsey's mother, Cheryl, has taken on the role of raising Kaylee, ensuring that she grows up in a loving and stable environment, far away from the horrors of her past. Cheryl said in a letter to the court that Patrick tortured her daughter to death and left her young granddaughter to call out for mama in the middle of the night. He not only killed our daughter, his child's mother, but he chose a horrible death for her, she said. Kaylee, who was just a baby when her mother was murdered, will one day learn about the darkness that surrounded her early life. For now, she is a reminder of the light and love that Kelsey brought to the world. Kelsey Berreth was a woman who loved life, her family, and her daughter. Her tragic death serves as a haunting reminder of the dangers that can lurk behind closed doors. Her memory lives on in the hearts of those who knew and loved her, and her story stands as a testament to the importance of seeking justice for the voiceless. The Kelsey Berreth case was a tragic one, a senseless murder that shocked the community and left everyone wondering how this could have happened. But as we reflect on the case, we're reminded of the importance of the justice system and the hard work of law enforcement. Kelsey Berreth's story is a tragic reminder of the evil that exists in this world, but it's also a testament to the power of community and the determination of law enforcement to get justice for victims and their families. We'd love to hear from you, so please share your thoughts on the Kelsey Berreth case. And if there's a case you'd like to see us cover in the future, let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our recent video about the Green River Killer. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.